This is the Dennis Miller Show. I reiterate, if you're a patriot, and I don't throw that word around a lot because it makes me, it weirds me. I think you can be a good human and a good American and not do that whole "you're a great patriot" thing. But that's just me. But if you are, you got to quit looking for work today, and let's get this unemployment rate down to 0. If you think about it, if every single one of you looking for work quits today, by tomorrow we can have a 0% unemployment rate. Come on, do the right thing. 866-509-7268, our phone number. Where's this sheet? What are we talking about this hour, Christian? In our next segment, we'll preview tomorrow's Kentucky Derby. Oh, no wonder I can't get hold of Bo in the Toe. Johnny Corbett had some foot surgery, so I started calling him the Toe, so now I call him Bo in the Toe.
Beautiful.
And I can't get him, so they must be at the Derby. Linda Carroll, who is the author of the new book, Duel for the Crown, Affirmed, Aladar, and Racing's Greatest Rivalry. Would she be okay if I just talked about the Derby and did not mention the book?
I think she'd be okay, but she'd prefer to talk about the book.
I just want to see where I stand here. Is this a Derby thing, or is this a book thing? Because I could never mention the Derby. How's about we do that?
You don't have to mention the Derby if you don't want to.
And then we'll talk to Chaz Palminteri
about
the Derby. Yeah, exactly. You see where I'm going. Kinda okay minds think alike.
That's what should be on my headstone.
Chaz Palminteri will be here. He's got a new play.
KCNR, Shasta, Redding.
Hey, folks. Welcome back to the Dennis Miller Show. Tomorrow's the Derby. And as much as I love the Soapbox Derby, it appears it's also the Kentucky Derby. Joining us now, the authoress of Duel for the Crown, Affirmed, Aladar, and Racing's Greatest Rivalry, Linda Carroll. Linda, how are you?
I'm fine. How are you doing, Dennis?
Groovy. Before we talk about tomorrow's race, tell me about the book. This is back in the 70s, right?
Yes, it was. In fact, I remember as a graduating college student seeing this rivalry culminate in the Belmont.
So who comes out of the box and wins the Derby?
Affirmed.
And then the Preakness?
Affirmed.
And then the Belmont, which is the long one?
Affirmed again.
And is that the last time?
It's pretty much the last time that they had a real race. There was the Travers after that, but there was a mess in the Travers, and there was a disqualification. And although Affirmed hit the finish line first, he was disqualified, and the win went to Aladar.
Is it interesting to you that the Racing's Greatest Rivalry, all three of the main races were won by one horse and not the other? It's like calling the Yankees and the Brooklyn Dodgers the greatest rivalry. It never won, right?
Well, it's the greatest rivalry because the second place horse was so close. And because in any other year, if, had he been born in a year where Affirmed wasn't present, then Aladar would have been the Triple Crown winner, which is an amazing thing that you had a year in which there were two horses that were so great that they could have, either one of them won the Triple Crown.
Well, I'm intrigued then. So you're saying if the horse that won the Triple Crown hadn't existed, another horse would have won the Triple Crown. You realize how infinitely that is from happening, right? You're saying it's just a perspective thing. You're saying it was close to happening, and I'm saying it couldn't have been further away in the universe, right, of that happening.
Well, that's the thing is, this is probably something we will never see again.
All righty. We're talking to Linda Carroll, and the book is Duel for the Crown, Affirmed, Aladar, and Racing's Greatest Rivalry. Was horse racing always the thing for you since young kiddo, or what attracts you to the ponies?
Well, I think it's in your genes. I think you especially girl genes, we love horses. It's inexplicable. It's an obsession. And, when I was reading books when I was a kid, a lot of the books that I found to be the most engaging were horse racing books, kids' horse racing books like The Black Stallion and the story about the Godolphin Arabian, which was the horse that was the one of the beginning horses for what thoroughbred as we see them today.
Mm-hmm. So we're talking to Linda Carroll, and the takeaway from this interview, of course, girls in jeans like riding horses, I think, is what I just took away from that.
Yes, they do.
Let's talk about the Derby tomorrow, kiddo. And by the way, I'm not sure if we'll see another. When was the last Triple Crown winner? I don't follow.
The last one was affirmed. This is it. We haven't had another one.
I'm pretty sure what we'll see in the future is, even if somebody wins the Derby and the Preakness, we live in such politically correct times. I almost feel that there's more fame, notoriety, and goodwill to be earned by an owner who says, I'm not going to go for the Belmont because it's a mile and a half. I'm going to rest the horse. Wouldn't that be something that even trumped the Triple Crown at this point?
Oh, no.
No?
There's so much to be gained, if only in terms of stud fees.
Mm-hmm.
For an owner to be able to say his horse is the first horse in decades to win the Triple Crown. Owners aren't that beneficent.
Well, I'll be intrigued. I can see I can see my scenario as much as I can see the other one. What do we got in tomorrow's race, kiddo? Who's the favorite? I don't follow it as much as I used to. Who's the favorite? Does it look like a good race? How many horses have entered, and what's the weather look like?
Well, the favorite is California Chrome, and he happens to be, at the moment, my favorite. But there are enough other horses that are reasonably good, that have looked good in the preps, that you just can't say that for sure this horse is going to take the Derby.
All right, so we'll look for California Chrome. And, folks, when you're out there in your bookstores or online, look for Duel for the Crown, Affirmed, Aladar, and Racing's Greatest Rivalry by our guest, the author, Linda Carroll. Thanks for your time, Linda.
Thank you, Des.
All right, kiddo. Have a good one. 866-509-RANT. 866-509-7268. If you'd like to jump in, and let's see if we have any tasty sound bites. I understand that Carney and Ed Henry from Fox were locking horns over Benghazi, which has been reduced in the White House's perspective, at least, down to a Fox story, i.e., Fox's troublemakers and everybody else has given up on it. I'm starting to see it broaden out a little. Major Garrett is on it a little. But Major has his Fox DNA, so I'm sure they'll say once a Fox guy, always a Fox guy. But somebody, no doubt, Crowdhammer hinted that maybe people are embarrassed in the press room that they've been played. We'll see. I think I think there's a handoff from believing in this guy ultimately to realizing there are problems, to realizing one of the problems is if you don't believe in him ultimately, they'll flatten you. And you'll probably get let go, like the chick, Cheryl Atkinson. So, it's been a safe handoff here. It's like a baton toss in a relay race. They went from, let's take the four players in the relay. They went from thinking he was a god who walked amongst men to thinking he was the best president ever, to thinking he had been saddled with George Bush, in ineptitude, to thinking maybe he's not that good at it. But at this point, you have to be crazy to want to lose your job at one of the big networks by saying that you don't think he's that good at it. But here's Ed Henry. He's always intrepid. He does it the way they used to, the Sam Donaldson method, where you just don't trust power. This number 19 soundbite from whitehouse.gov.
If the email was not about Benghazi, as you said yesterday and you say again today, why did the White House turn it over to a conservative group seeking information about Benghazi?
Carney answers in number 20 from whitehouse.gov.
You would have to ask the State Department about how they responded to FOIA requests. I would, again, point you to the fact that, all you have to do is read it, Ed, right? Top line points, goals, that kind of stuff. The only mention of Benghazi in the email is a question about what's your response to a story by the Independent newspaper in the UK that says we had intelligence 48 hours in advance of the attack that was ignored. Not aware of any actionable intelligence was the answer. And then what does it do? It cuts and pastes the same line from the CIA talking points that, again, was what Ambassador Rice used.
God, can you hear? Are you even interested in it anymore? You really have to grab yourself and say 4 men died, and you can get reinterested. But it's such a whirlpool of BS that it's tough to keep your eye on the lack of a prize here. Let's go to Larry in Chicago. Larry, I've got 2 minutes. What's up?
Hey, how are you, Dennis?
Good. What's on your mind, Larry?
A couple things I just heard on the news break between half hours of your show that Boehner may have actually done something right. He announced a select committee on Benghazi.
I don't even know what that means. Tell me what it means and why it's good.
Well, when you were talking to Charles in a former past present hour, Mr. Krauthammer had said that a select committee is a committee like was formed for Watergate or for Iran-Contra, where an outside lawyer kind of takes over this thing.
Who picks the outside lawyer, Boehner or the president?
No, I don't believe it's the president. I believe it is the House that picks the outside lawyer. Their Ken Starr, as it would be, you know.
Well, they better spend the next year or so finding somebody who's never lived a human life, because whatever the guy's done, if he's on to Benghazi, they'll destroy him, right?
Yep, they sure will. I mean, it's a move in the right direction anyway. So.
Yeah. If a guy's smart enough to head that thing, is he dumb enough to have never lived a life, is what I'm saying. To find somebody experienced enough to cut through a thicket of BS like this with a machete, you have to be a reasonably adventurous mind. Somewhere in a reasonably adventurous guy's mind's life, he's done something that they will use to destroy him. So, I don't know. I still see a dead end. But a select panel, what is that? That's like U.S., what is it, UL approved, you know? Everything's select nowadays. They're going to pick a guy who either wants to protect the president or doesn't. If he doesn't want to protect the president, they'll get his head right quickly. If he wants to protect the president, well, they'll just give imprimatur what the president's saying now. I think it happened, folks.
The Dennis Miller Show, 866-509-7268.
Hey, folks. Welcome back to the Dennis Miller Show. Dennis Miller here, basking in the glorious wake of modest achievement. I'll be performing at the Orleans Casino and Hotel in Las Vegas on June 13th and 14th. For more information, go to DennisMillerRadio.com and click on Dennis Live. In our next segment, we'll be joined by actor Chaz Palminteri. He has a new play called Unorganized Crime, and we'll chat to him about that. In the interim, we're taking some phone calls at 866-509-RANT, 866-509-7268. This is Joe in Missouri. Hey, Joe. How are you?
Hey, Dennis. How are you?
Groovy. What's up?
I heard you reading your voicemail about the botched execution, and I was thinking you might want to check that out. It's a very compelling story because he did actually end up dead. But it was rather gruesome. It was a new drug combination, and they had tried for 51 minutes to find a good vein to start it, which they couldn't do on his body. And so they finally went to his groin area and managed to
what did he do?
I'm sorry?
Before I get all too heartbroken, I assume they don't kill somebody and what did he do to get in this position where they couldn't find a vein for a needle in his groin?
Coffee.
Huh?
You said that was the first question my wife asked me this morning when I was reading the report.
Well, I'm just saying I reserve judgment on whether I'm be able to get on with my day for what they did to the man. What did he do to get to that point in his life?
It was a murder case, but I didn't know the details.
So at some point, he ended another human being's life for not good reasons. Their reasons might not be the best reasons, but I would say that I think if you end another human being's life without reason, that them ending your life, at least there's more reason. Would you concede that or not?
True. I just.
All right then. The rest of it, I'm sorry. We should probably wait a second. I'm getting an email from somebody I trust. His crime was very gruesome too, including rape, stabbing, and burying a young girl alive. Does that change your opinion about them not being able to find the vein when I tell you, Joe in Missouri, that he raped, stabbed, and buried a young girl alive? Or are you as hung up on his end?
I'm not hung up at all. I'm a pretty objective thinker. I was just suggesting that it gives fuel.
I thought you said that it was. I wish I could listen to the phrase up front. Do you remember how you referred to it originally? Because you said it's pretty gruesome. I don't know. I'll leave that to you, Joey. I'm not. It's not gruesome to me. If you're saying they ought to make it sure, like they used to, and hang a guy or shoot him. But once a guy's raped, stabbed, and buried a young girl alive, you know what I mean? It's tough for me to sum it up. Boy, that's gruesome what they did to him. I'm sorry the shot didn't go right, the inoculation. All right?
He actually died from it because your earlier report had suggested he survived it.
All right, Joey.
I just wish it had taken longer. It was 51 minutes. That's not very long.
Carolyn, are you still there? My wife came in to tell me something to augment the story, but now I think I've lost her. Is that the case? The guy stabbed the girl and raped her and put her in a grave alive?
Murder of an 18-year-old woman whom he shot and buried alive. Yes,
Well, then, if it went badly at the end, I'm like you. I'm kind of happy, right?
Yeah,
he was also.
And I'm not going to read off too many, but this one stands out. He was also convicted of raping and killing an 11-month-old girl.
Mm-hmm.
So,
well, I can't use gruesome there. Some people can, I can't. Paul in Georgia. Hey, Paul.
Mr. Miller, enough of this Teflon president stuff and killing murderers. This is on a lighter note. You brought up last week a story about going to the Civic Arena for the wrestling matches.
Yeah.
Well, if you remember the Gateway Clipper and the Party Liner.
Sure.
My mom worked for a catering company there.
Mm-hmm.
And as a kid, I would work on the line, scooping food.
Sure.
Anyway, the owner would give us tickets to these wrestling matches. And I went one time with my brother, who's 4 years older than me. And you remember the Kodak disc camera?
Mm-hmm, sure.
Well, I'm standing there in the hallway, and some guy comes up to me and says, "Hey, you want some pictures of the wrestlers?" I said, "Sure." So he took my camera and he left. And my brother come back and says, "Where's the camera?" I said, "I gave it to some guy. He's going to get pictures." And my brother just, slammed me up against the wall. This guy, 10 minutes later, brought back my camera. We got them developed. I had Bruno Sammartino, Fuji and Tanaka, Chief Jay Strongbow, all sitting in the locker room.
Oh, my God, what a treasure trove.
But I can't find the damn pictures now.
Oh, my man. God, that stuff's gold. Do you remember what I always loved about the arena shows is every week on Studio Wrestling, Chili Billy would say that Ringside Rosie was in Montefiore with cancer of the entire existence. And then on Fridays, I'd see her at the arena hitting George the Animal Steel in the head with a cup of ice.
Yep.
She always rallied back to hit the animal with ice. Thank you, my friend. Beautiful. Let's go to Ernie in New York. He has some thoughts on the botched execution.
Hey, Dennis. How's you doing?
Good. How are you?
Oh, good. You know what? I feel like this. They should impose, capital punishment everywhere. And then we wouldn't have half the crimes we do. And like this that happened now, it'd show people, look at, you're going to die like you suffered these other people.
I believe in something more. Listen, I've always fancied as a work of art and fiction Dante's Inferno. I think it's an incredible piece of writing. And commensurate justice is, yes, I would look for something more akin to that. I think there's a concentricity about that. And if you are to do unto others as you would have them do unto you, if you're the unto you that gets killed, and I also have a friend who's Saudi Arabian, and he told me that in many instances the family surviving family members of the victim are allowed to have a say in what happens to the perpetrator of the crime. That's also something that makes sense to me. But if somebody like Mike Farrell, I don't even know Mike's still alive, but I remember he was the one who always used to drive me apoplectic, is going to parachute into a scene like this and tell you how it's inhuman what we're doing to this man, and you say to him he raped a young girl and strangled her and buried her alive, and they say that's immaterial. I'm talking about what we're doing. I don't find it immaterial. I find that crazy. That's sort of inflexibility as far as the devastation wreaked on humanity, and indeed in the macro, and this young girl in the micro, the turning a blind eye to that in the name of some obstinate, across-the-board sort of, pass is madness. It's too far away from the caveman fire for me. There's certain things that make sense. And if you're telling me I didn't follow this story, I'm not following as much. If this guy was in more pain and agony as he died, and that was the crime, well, very fitting. Karma's a bitch. Dennis Miller Show. This year, do something really special for Mother's Day. Order giant, freshly dipped strawberries from Sherry's Berries, starting at just $19.99. That is over 40% off the regular price. Or double the berries for just $10 more. Go to berries.com, click on the mic in the upper right-hand corner, and to get the deal, you use my code. It's DMZ here. Friends, these are enormous, fresh, juicy, mouth-watering berries. I've seen them, and I tasted them, and I can't believe I ate some of it, but you can't stop. I want these berries. Not about me this time. It's about your mom. Don't wait long. Order now before the Mother's Day deal ends. Call 866-FRUIT-02 to order, or better yet, visit berries.com, BERRIES.com. Click on the microphone, top right-hand corner. Type in DMZ. Go to berries.com, click on the microphone, and type in DMZ. Order today. This deal expires Friday at midnight, so make sure you order now. The great Tommy James and the Shondells. Welcome back to the Dennis Miller Show. This cat has great chops, man. I've always admired his work. Very cool vibe, too. Sort of like, like an Armin Asante vibe or something. He's got a new play, Unorganized Crime. It'll be in previews starting tomorrow night, and then run for a limited engagement starting Thursday, May 8th, at the Elephant Theater, so you never forget, in Hollywood. Chaz Palminteri. Hey, Chaz, how are you?
All right, Dennis, how are you?
Beautiful, baby.
It's really, I got to tell you first, it's a pleasure to meet you. My wife and I have been watching your specials on HBO. We're big fans of yours.
Thank you, brother. I appreciate that. Explain Unorganized Crime to the listeners.
Well, the way this whole thing happened was Kenny DeGuilla was a waiter. He was an actor, and he was on Les Mis years ago. He was in the show Les Mis and did a lot. Then he raised his son, and then he left the business to raise his son. But I always admired his work as a writer and actor. I saw his plays years ago, and then I went to the restaurant to eat, and I met him, and he said, "Look, I wrote this play." And I said, "Wow, I'm getting back in the business." He said, so I read the play, and I said, "Wow, something's got to be done. People have got to see this." Excuse me. And I said, you got to make people see this. So he says, "Yeah, I know, but I'm just getting back in the business." I said, "Look, I'll do the play." There was a part that he said you'd be perfect for, and I said, "You know what? I'll come back. I'll do it only for 4 weeks in L.A. People see you, see your words, hear your voice as an actor and writer." I remember what Bob De Niro did for me, Dennis, and I never forgot that. And so I said, "You know what? I'm going to pay it back and do it for someone else." And that's why I'm doing it. It's Unorganized Crime. It's about two brothers. One is a made guy, one isn't. But it's really about a family, about these two brothers, and one is married to this girl, and it's like loyalty. Where is loyalty? Where is betrayal?
Mm-hmm.
And I come back and see him after 3 years, and I try to talk him into coming back into the family. It's really not like violence, but it's about really family and brothers.
Well, listen, man, I got to say, for a young cat who's written something, and you got a guy like you with a Bronx Tale on your CV coming up to him and saying, listen, I'd like to explore this play of the father-son dynamic. I would say not since Mario Puzo has somebody had a stranglehold on the father-son thing like our guest Chaz Palminteri has. Unorganized Crime, as I said, is in previews starting tomorrow night and then runs for a limited engagement starting Thursday, May 8th at the Elephant Theater in Hollywood. What size cast you got, and who are some of the notables in your eyes, Chaz?
We have five people in the cast. I mean, obviously Kenny DeGuilla, myself, but also Elizabeth Rodriguez, who just got nominated for a Tony for a mother effer and a hat.
The Chris Rock thing, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yes, exactly. And she's just a great actor. So I really got some great people to be in it after they read it. And it's only for 4 weeks, Dennis. Only to May 31st. 4 weeks only, Thursday to Sunday. They can get tickets at tixtheaxs.com, or they can call the elephanttheater.org. But this is something I really want the people, the industry, to see this man act and to see his words. It's important for me. It really is. TIXS.com. Easy one to remember, folks. TIXS.com. I always think of Lou Reed's great line. I got out on the dirty boulevard, and some guys seem to know how to speak dirty boulevard, and some guys seem to not know they reach for it. I don't even know your background, brother, but it just seems like there's a little dirty boulevard somewhere way back when. Yeah, well, I'm happy to be, in LA and doing this thing. And, sometimes you just got to pay it forward, Dennis. I'm sure if you see a young comedian that's really funny and he wants to talk to you about advice, I'm sure you seem like a guy that would just sit and, and talk to him. There's nothing wrong with paying it forward, and I always believe in that.
Uh-huh. Well, I'm saying way back when, I sense a little Bronx in your background, though, right? You might be an LA-ster now, but there's some Bronx in your hard drive, isn't it?
Bronx Tale is my story. My real name is Calogero. My father was a bus driver. I saw a killing when I was 9 years old. And when I wrote Bronx Tale, I mean, that was about my father and me, and my dad telling me the saddest thing in life is wasted talent. And I never forgot that, and I lived my life by that. And I felt when I read this guy's play, I said, this guy can't waste his talent. He's got to stop waiting tables and start doing something now. So that was my idea of doing this.
Well, A Bronx Tale, one of my personal favorites. I was just trying to evoke it out of you for the listeners, not everybody who knows the vibe. And folks, A Bronx Tale is an unbelievable flick. And read the backstory on De Niro coming to see the show when it's a play. Chaz Palminteri at the center of this, and Unorganized Crime. Once again, previews starting tomorrow night. And then limited engagement, only through the end of May, starts Thursday, May 8th at the Elephant Theater in Hollywood, only through the end of May, Tix.com, T-I-X-S. Thank you, brother. Thanks for all the great work over the years.
Same here, Dennis. Thank you. God bless.
All right, we'll talk at you. Yeah, he's the real deal. Oh, yeah. And that Bronx Tale is... How real does that get? I mean, that is...
A little too real.
Yeah, it's... they nibble on that in Goodfellas with, Henry being more hooked up with Jimmy than he is with his dad. You know what I mean? But the full-bore beauty of that tale explored in A Bronx Tale. 866-509-RANT, our phone number, 866-509-7268. Yeah, a little chuff with myself that Chaz Palminteri even knows my work. Now, what's this thing with Gene and Rob? Do we have time? Yeah, we have time.
We have time.
All right, so they're competing for the position of Laugh Laureate on the show?
Of the DMZ, the Dennis Miller Show.
All right, who fires the first volley, Gene and Philly?
Gene and Philly.
Let me hear it, number 7.
Do you like to laugh? Well, doesn't everyone? Hi, my name is Gene Beretta. You may know me as Gene and Philly. I would be honored to have your vote this November for Laugh Laureate of the DMZ. Yes, that's right. I'm the guy responsible for this. And this. And many more. Now, Rob Lorich also wants your vote. I know Rob. We became friends over the course of 5 months while I counseled him not to hate the troops. I think Rob is a funny man. His home state of Wisconsin is filled with funny men like Ed Gein and Jeffrey Dahmer. Yet there are those who say Rob Lorich's humor has turned people away from the show and accelerated division between political parties. On the other hand, it is said that my humor produces more laughs than nitrous oxide. and would almost certainly get a thumbs up from our founding fathers. Rob Lorich is my friend, yet he is no friend of the DMZ. This November, pull the lever for Gene Beretta, and I'm not pulling your leg. Paid for by Gene Beretta. Laughs for the people.
All right, for stagecraft purposes, let me go in here while Rob quickly crafts
Very
his
quickly,
retort,
yes.
and tell you that the New York Post is reporting that Ronan Farrow's Sinatra blue eyes are actually due to prescription contact lenses. Now, somehow this makes him even more, in my eyes, my green eyes, deserving of the Excellence in Broadcasting Award that he got only after doing 3 shows. Very fitting. Oh, look at that, coming across
Exactly
the wire.
enough time for Rob
It's
to send this to
Lorich's
us.
retort.
Hi, folks. Rob Lorich here. Over the past few years, I've been trying my best to make you laugh, and more often than not, I think I've succeeded. Remember my classic anniversary show calls, my celebrity greeting cards, and my impression of a certain rock and roll superstar, whose name I don't think I need to mention. It's been brought to my attention recently that Gene Beretta has decided to run against me for the position of Laugh Laureate of the DMZ. Can you recall any of Gene Beretta's comedy bits? Don't worry, neither can I. I know Gene can be moderately amusing at times, but is he funny? I've heard whispers that many DMZ members find him less than funny. We all know Gene is from Philadelphia, a great American city, known for its critical role in the birth of our nation, and the legendary cheesesteak rivalry between Pats and Geno's. In fact, the only thing that Pats and Geno's can agree on is how less than funny Gene Beretta is. And how well do you really know Gene? Did you know that Gene often cites Michael Vick as his spiritual mentor? Or that Gene's college roommate was the original AIDS monkey? It kind of makes you wonder, what else don't you know about Gene Beretta? Paid for by people who think Rob Lorich is incredibly funny.
Well, we've got ourselves a convoy.
Sounds like
when
it.
When is election day on this?
Well, they said November, but I
can
feel
actually
like,
vote.
Yeah, I feel like there's probably going to be some politicking over the next few weeks.
Well, we got to get a polling platform
Yeah.
up on the website if
Definitely.
we can, and don't put Liev in charge.
No,
I'd actually like it to happen. I don't know who's funnier out of those two. I can agree with this. Anybody who can make it upstream and get something funny on without having Liev literally tackle it, throttle it, and throw it to the side is a genius in my book. This is the Dennis Miller Show.